all familiar with the conventional approach to making nutrition-related behavior changes. Sadly, most people still associate nutrition with losing weight. This diet approach is a targeted manipulation of one's food intake to achieve a desired outcome and is still the most common form of nutrition intervention today. This method has become entrenched largely through government-issued nutrition guidelines, which typically single out nutrients in a reductionistic way. For example, target grams of fat per day. And it's also perpetuated by a nearly $300 billion weight loss industry. Use of the word diet itself has a long history and is often medicalized and even been applied widely in fitness circles. The titles of the leading nutrition professionals, registered dietitian nutritionists, and our parent organization, Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, have the word diet embedded into them. The very definitions of the word diet, a special course of food to which one restricts oneself either to lose weight or for medical reasons, and to restrict oneself to small amounts or special kinds of food to lose weight, has the concept of weight loss through intentional restriction built in. It should then come as no surprise that there's so much controversy and debate about the use of the word diet. In the last 10 years, it has become increasingly apparent that intentional weight loss through dietary restriction is generally not sustainable. In a large study of individuals with obesity from the UK, the annual probability of attaining normal weight, and that's based on a BMI between 18.5 and 24.9, was 1 in 200 for men and 1 in 124 for women. This translates to less than 1% of people going from obese to normal weight during the 9-year follow-up period. Among those with morbid obesity, the annual probability of achieving even a 5% weight reduction was 1 in 8 for men and 1 in 7 for women. The authors concluded that the probability of attaining normal weight or maintaining a weight loss is low. Therefore, weight management programs might be ineffective. Given these findings, the argument can be made that putting people on a calorie-restricted weight loss program is not only ineffective, but perhaps even unethical. This explains why there's so much anger and tension in online communities and in some treatment circles about the use of low-calorie diets, and it emerges as an us versus them narrative. And of course, proponents of dieting may interpret this data as, well, they're just doing it wrong or they didn't try hard enough. The diet approach appears to rely on this concept of personal responsibility, suggesting that it is up to the individual to make the right choices, for example, nutrition and exercise, to successfully control their body weight. And this perspective has begun to fall out of favor, particularly given the data that socioeconomic status, the neighborhood food environment, and exposure to stress, trauma, and adversity, particularly early in life, can all play a role in weight-related outcomes. And so it has become clear that theories of weight loss based on low-calorie dieting are failing. And this is likely due to neurochemical, endocrine, and gastrointestinal factors, which simple models of energy balance do not adequately capture. Additionally, many practitioners and researchers have begun to think beyond individual characteristics and consider the broader contextual factors, including the rise in addiction like eating of ultra-processed foods and psychological factors such as weight stigma and dietary restraint. Emerging evidence suggests that the composition of our gut microbiome also plays a role in eating behaviors. This concept of food addiction has often been associated with a diet approach because many assume that addiction recovery necessitates excluding certain foods and the pursuit of weight loss, body negative attitudes, restriction, and shaming. However, this is not always the case. The conventional eating disorder approach, which is frequently considered to be the non-diet approach, appears to be the opposite, focusing on food inclusion, weight neutrality, body positivity, moderation, and non-stigmatizing practices. Most clinicians who work in mental health are likely to endorse a more inclusive approach. And in contrast, many people, including those in 12-step communities, appear drawn to a more exclusive method. So, which approach is more effective? In our opinion, it is essential to not limit oneself to a single food philosophy. Food philosophies must be dynamic, continually incorporating new findings, especially those related to trauma. If all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. We recommend that practitioners learn to diversify their toolkits. The non-diet approach is a critical part of any toolkit because reducing shame is a crucial component to recovery. Given that caloric restriction leads to a preoccupation with food, a dieting approach may cause harm to specific individuals by promoting binge eating. Thus, the non-diet approach can be conceptualized as a form of harm reduction. Most importantly, the non-diet approach empowers people to get in touch with their intuition around food rather than relying on an external source of guidance. Having a single food philosophy that gets extended to all people, regardless of their biology, psychology, or social conditions, is not scientific. Some people will benefit from having a more exclusive dietary approach that does emphasize the biological impact of certain foods. This may include having an expert provide guidelines during the healing process to empower that person to become more intuitive over time. Recently, an 8-step assessment process to help with the individual level discernment has been published. At Wise Mind Nutrition, we generally favor a non-diet approach to nutrition intervention. However, we acknowledge that more deliberate methods have a place, particularly for those with food addiction and other mental health issues such as depression. We believe that the word diet can extend beyond weight loss and therefore doesn't have to be a dirty word. It can include concepts related to eating for mental health. Our motto is food for mood and brain health. There's nothing wrong with changing your diet to improve your mental health. However, in the case of eating disorders and otherwise unhealthy relationships with food, it's wise to consult with a professional before making any drastic changes, particularly if the changes involve any forms of restriction. Tailor-made hybrid models between inclusive and exclusive approaches have been helpful in our clinical experience. We tend to favor guiding principles rather than rigid rules. Still, we have positioned ourselves to help people with a wide range of dietary and psychological needs. Psychotherapy is individualized, and therefore nutrition should be too. The era of personalized nutrition is here. One size does not fit all. Take the journey with us. Learn what works for you. And don't ever let anybody tell you that you cannot recover. Dietary improvement for mental health has finally arrived.